Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we take all that raw data, all those notes, and turn it into something you can actually use.
And today we are tackling a really fascinating one.
We really are. We're sitting right at the crossroads of three, truly explosive sectors. You've got predictive AI, you've got decentralized finance on the base chain, and of course the high-stakes world of pro sports betting.
And this isn't just a trend, it's a massive economic force. We're not talking about some niche hobby project here.
No, not at all. Our mission today is a really rigorous analysis. We're going to dissect the claims, the strategy, the credibility of a platform called Stacy Sport.
Right. The listener wants a full breakdown. We're going to look at their incredibly ambitious 2025 roadmap.
And we'll project their long-term viability,
Mm.
2026 and beyond. We'll assess their revenue model, their community incentives.
And maybe most critically, we have to give a realistic assessment of their chances. I mean, can they actually succeed against these huge entrenched competitors?
Before we even get there, we have to set the stage with the sheer scale of the market they're targeting. The context here is just essential to understanding the stakes.
It really is. The global sports betting market is. It's absolutely massive. It's often estimated to be over $100 billion in annual revenue.
$100 billion.
So any tech that can reliably, sustainably gain an edge in that market is potentially worth billions itself. By putting itself right there at the intersection of AI, crypto, and this huge market, Stacy Sport is aiming for a truly spectacular scale.
That sets the table perfectly. And whenever a crypto project enters a field this competitive, this valuable, the very first question has to be, why should we believe them? Why is their tech any better than anyone else's?
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with the one thing that gives them, I think, genuine institutional credibility right out of the gate.
Right. And that's their foundational advantage.
Let's get into it.
The single most crucial element here, the thing that establishes their credibility, is their primary technical partner, Eagle AI Labs.
And this isn't just some marketing handshake, right? This is the source. This is the intellectual property driving their entire predictive model.
It is. The sources are really clear that this is institutional grade tech. It comes from capabilities developed over, get this, 30 years.
30 years.
30 years, specifically in high-frequency financial trading systems.
So they've taken 3 decades of predictive modeling experience from the absolute high-stakes, multi-trillion-dollar world of finance and are now pointing it at sports.
That 30-year track record is the key differentiator. It really is. In crypto, we see so many teams claiming they invented some cutting-edge algorithm last year.
Of course.
But Eagle AI Labs is leveraging a technology stack that was forged in one of the most efficient, most ruthless, high-speed markets on Earth, global finance.
Okay, I see that point, but let me push back a little.
Mhm.
Doesn't that longevity also present a risk? Financial models, they're designed to spot trends and correlations in these, highly rational, quantifiable systems.
Yeah.
But sports are all about human chaos. Emotion, random injuries, psychological pressure. How well does that kind of, let's say, financial model rigidity adapt to the volatility of human sports?
That is the critical question.
Yeah.
And the advantage isn't in the data they're analyzing, but in the methodology they're using to analyze it.
Okay, explain that.
The founder of Eagle AI Labs. This person built predictive pricing models for global banks that were handling trillions in transactions. When you're modeling financial transactions, you're essentially trying to find these incredibly small, transient market inefficiencies.
Micro arbitrage opportunity.
Exactly. You're trying to see them before anyone else does.
So what you're saying is they're experts at extracting a clear signal from an overwhelming amount of noise.
Precisely. And that expertise translates directly because sports betting markets, while they're massive, are arguably less efficient than, say, currency trading markets. They suffer from psychological biases, local knowledge gaps, and just the general public's tendency to bet with their hearts, not their heads. The core task is identical. Find the undervalued probability using sophisticated analysis and risk management that's been honed over decades. It's a huge indicator of a proven tech foundation that just moves the conversation way beyond typical startup claims.
All right, so moving on from the core tech itself, let's look at the people steering the ship. They've set up a very professionalized, sort of comprehensive co-founder structure right away,
Right.
which to me signals they intend to operate more like a traditional tech firm.
Correct. You look at the roster of founders, and they're covering all the bases. You've got R. Roby as the CIO, Jay Ribble as the CXO, Jay Blackman as CFO.
And then Jay Spouse as the CNO, Tien Nguyen as CDO, And Ann McCosker is the CTO.
It's a full house.
That is a crowded C-suite. For listeners, can you just quickly clarify what some of those less common roles mean?
Yeah.
Like CXO, CNO, and CDO. What do they signify here?
Absolutely. So the CXO, the Chief Experience Officer, is all about the platform's usability, the user interface, making sure that dashboard is intuitive and sticky. That's essential for keeping paying subscribers.
Right.
The CNO, Chief Networking Officer, is focused on external business relationships. And critically, securing those big institutional sportsbook partnerships we'll get into later.
And the CDO.
The CDO, Chief Data Officer, is absolutely vital in an AI company. They're responsible for getting the data, quality control, security, and just making sure the massive data sets flowing into the neural networks are clean and usable.
That kind of structure suggests they're trying to professionalize from day one.
Yeah.
But does that size, that potential bureaucracy, maybe lead to internal friction or inefficiency in a fast-moving startup environment, especially one tied to crypto?
That's always an inherent risk, for sure. However, they also added 2 key strategic executive roles, Marty McDonald as Chief Growth Officer and Travis Wright as Chief Innovation Officer.
Which suggests what?
It suggests the founders know they need both that structured internal execution and aggressive external scaling. A Chief Growth Officer, especially, implies they're looking way beyond organic crypto community growth and are aiming for that wider mainstream market.
Okay, now let's pivot to the infrastructure, the stuff that actually supports this deep bench of talent and technology. Stacy Sport has secured what we can genuinely call the infrastructure trifecta.
And securing these deals is an incredible vote of confidence in the underlying tech.
These are critical partnerships with 3 huge tech giants that basically eliminate the typical capital constraints that sink most AI startups.
Exactly. First, they partnered with Microsoft for startups. This gives them access to crucial cloud resources, high-level AI services, and lets them scale their operations quickly without building their own data centers.
Second is the Google Cloud Startup and Scale program.
Right. That supplies the high-demand data processing infrastructure and, importantly, world-class security you need for handling these vast real-time streams of sports data and protecting user info.
And the third piece of the trifecta is maybe the most significant, analytically speaking, the partnership with the NVIDIA Inception program.
This is not just a marketing badge. This is where the raw computational muscle comes from. It provides the essential GPU computing resources you need for deep learning and neural network training.
For our listeners who might be a little less on the technical side, why is getting access to high-end NVIDIA GPUs so crucial for a platform like this?
It really comes down to feasibility and cost. Training a sophisticated neural network, which is the brain of their model, means you have to process billions of data points at the same time. Historical game stats, real-time player metrics, everything.
And normal CPUs can't handle that.
A traditional CPU handles tasks one after another, sequentially. But GPUs, graphics processing units, are designed for massive parallel processing. They can run hundreds, even thousands of calculations simultaneously.
So it's about speed.
It's about speed and cost. Without access to high-end NVIDIA hardware, training these complex models could take weeks or months and cost millions in upfront capital. This partnership essentially gives them enterprise-grade, cutting-edge processing power instantly. It dramatically accelerates their development cycle and how quickly they can refine their models.
Which implies that NVIDIA, Google, and Microsoft all see enough real potential in the AI from Eagle AI Labs to extend those resources. That's a huge validation.
Absolutely. It de-risks the entire technology foundation. So to summarize this first part, the foundation is strong. They didn't have to build the AI from scratch. They started with a 30-year proven track record. They got the expensive infrastructure through these major tech partnerships, and they built out a professional C-suite.
Okay, so that allows us to move confidently into looking at their execution strategy. And they have a very detailed and very aggressive roadmap.
They've laid out a highly structured plan that extends through 2025, and it's all about moving incrementally toward becoming that dominant platform. It's not just a wish list of features, it's a strategic rollout.
And the detail is encouraging, right? It gives clear milestones that the community can actually hold the team accountable to.
Exactly. Let's start with Q1 2025. They called this the foundational elements phase.
This was all the essential setup. It was the website launch, the all-important tokenomics reveal, the official announcement of that Eagle AI Labs partnership.
And the first major steps toward monetization. Partnership integrations with established sportsbooks, Cloudbet, and Bovada.
And those integrations are critical from the start. It means they're addressing the distribution problem early on.
Right. Cloudbet and Bovada are established names. Stacy doesn't have to build a user base from absolute zero. They can tap into existing pools of serious bettors.
Okay, so then we move into Q2 2025, which they labeled the starting lineup phase.
This phase was their public debut, really. This is when we saw the Uniswap token launch, the release of their primary product, which was Dashboard V1.
And their initial foray into live predictions, specifically targeting MLB, Major League Baseball.
And the choice of MLB is very strategic. Baseball gives you a massive volume of highly structured, stable data over a long, predictable season. It's basically the ideal environment for a machine learning model to be tested, refined, and validated before you move it onto more chaotic, higher volatility sports.
Which they did pretty quickly. The roadmap then accelerates significantly in Q3 2025. They branded this the playoff push phase.
And this is where they dramatically broadened their sport coverage. They expanded into soccer, the NFL, and NCAAF.
The timing there is crucial, isn't it? Q3 lines up perfectly with the start of the massive North American football season.
Both pro and college, yeah. This is the period of the highest betting volume, the highest public interest. It requires the AI models to handle intense, often subjective variables, and these really fluid beta streams. I mean, NFL predictions alone are an acid test for any predictive model.
Q3 also included some major feature additions that show the product is maturing. They launched their dedicated Telegram bot for faster prediction delivery.
And crucially, they launched the preliminary bet mirroring functionality, which they refer to as Neural Bet.
Bet mirroring. For listeners, can you just break down what that is and why it's so technically complex?
Sure. Bet mirroring basically means that AI's prediction can be automatically translated into a bet placed on your partner's sportsbook account. You don't have to manually log in and place the wagers yourself.
So it's all about removing friction.
Completely. But it requires low latency API integration, high security, and seamless smart contract execution on the base chain to track the transaction. It's for the user who really trusts the AI.
And that seamless path from prediction to placement is vital for mainstream adoption. Q3 also saw the launch of the Stacy Rewards program, which I want to circle back to and analyze in depth because it's fundamental to their community alignment.
Definitely. But first, let's finish the roadmap with Q4 2025, the Victory Lap phase.
This is all about maximizing coverage and hitting user metrics. They expanded into the NBA, college basketball, the NHL, and the UFC.
And by the end of the year, they set a very concrete, measurable goal: 3,000 active dashboard users.
3,000. You know, that seems like a relatively small number given the $100 billion market they're targeting. Is that ambition a bit low? Or is the complexity of integrating this AI just slowing down their initial growth targets?
I think it's a very smart, very realistic target for a tech company that's launching on a specific blockchain like Base. Remember, this is active dashboard users.
Meaning paying subscribers.
Right, paying subscribers who are using the predictions regularly. For a new crypto-native product that's focused on high-confidence, institutional-grade predictions, which probably carry a higher subscription fee, 3,000 dedicated users generating consistent revenue is a very strong initial sign of product-market fit. It balances the need for real revenue against the friction of crypto onboarding.
The Q4 roadmap also included a planned community meetup, which suggests they value that real-world engagement, not just digital growth. It's a nice psychological anchor for the community.
For sure. Now let's look beyond 2025. The long-term vision is just pure dominance.
The project aims to expand coverage to, and I'm quoting here, every major professional sport over time. So what does that path to dominance look like after next year?
The future initiatives seem to center on two things: scaled technology and scaled partnerships. This means the full, robust launch of NeuralBet, scaling up that bet mirroring capability to handle maybe thousands of concurrent users across multiple sportsbooks like Cloudbet and Bovada.
So they need to turn those initial integrations into fully realized, seamless betting platforms.
Exactly. And we know that significant partnerships and other integrations are still in development with announcements pending. So that implies there should be a steady stream of news throughout 2026, assuming they execute successfully.
So 2025 is really the proof of concept year. They're moving fast, they're diversifying their risk by covering multiple major sports.
And critically, they're establishing the infrastructure they need to monetize both the retail bettors and the institutional clients. If they achieve that, 2026 and beyond becomes the scale-up phase, where they use that proven track record to go after those deep institutional B2B licensing deals. And that's where the truly transformative revenue is.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's dig into that monetization and community angle.
Yeah.
Given the project's dependence on the C02 token, the team's commitment to aligning platform revenue with the token holders is just paramount.
It's everything. Which brings us to the Stacy Rewards program that launched back in Q3.
Right. This mechanism, it's designed to incentivize meaningful, sustained participation, not just, passive speculation. It lets C2 token holders earn monthly payments in USDC.
And using USDC is a key selling point. It removes the volatility risk from the reward itself. It's stable.
The requirements to qualify are pretty rigorous too, which shows they're focused on high-quality contribution. You have to both stake your tokens and complete these qualifying actions.
And those actions are basically outsourced sales and marketing for them. Referrals, social media posts, content creation, even real-world venue placements.
The eligibility criteria are really designed to filter out low-effort engagement. Referrals, for example, have to result in a minimum of 5 renewed subscribers.
And if you're making video content, it has to be 5 minutes long or more. Social contributions require at least 3 posts a week, each with over 100 characters. They want substantive, high-effort advocacy.
It really suggests the team is optimizing for ROI.
Yeah.
They want genuine growth advocates who are producing content that actually converts. They're paying for measurable marketing outcomes, not just for holding a token.
Precisely.
Now let's look at the funding model for this rewards pool. It's funded directly from company revenue and profits. But the stated commitment is what really stands out to me. They say, rewards members eat first, before the business takes its own profits.
It's a powerful statement of intent. It creates this direct, tangible alignment. If the platform is successfully generating revenue, that revenue first flows to the reward pool for the dedicated stakers. It makes them priority stakeholders.
That sounds great. I love the sound of it. But in practice, how do they legally or even technically secure that commitment? What happens if they hit a big regulatory hurdle or a period of low accuracy crushes revenue? Can the company just decide to stop funding the pool?
That is the structural challenge. The language is designed to maximize community trust, but whether that commitment is secured via smart contract on Baseblow, making it immutable, or if it's just a corporate promise really determines the risk.
Right.
If it's just a promise, it relies heavily on the team's reputation. If they've tokenized future revenue streams or set aside cash flow into a transparent, auditable vault, that increases credibility dramatically. It's a detail that an informed investor really needs to scrutinize beyond the press release.
And this commitment flows right into their overall financial approach, the dual revenue model. This strategy is key to making sure the project isn't solely dependent on the speculative price of the Spaceshore token.
The dual model gives them crucial diversified income streams. The first is the predictable one, individual subscriptions. The B2C model with tiered memberships for users accessing the dashboard. That's the foundation.
And the second stream, which is arguably the path to true institutional scale, is institutional licensing.
Exactly. Licensing the predictive model itself, which is the Eagle AI Labs IP, to the big players. Major sports books, hedge funds that specialize in sports markets, professional betting syndicates.
Let's just put that in perspective. If a subscription is, say, $200 a month, you need thousands of users to generate significant revenue.
Right.
But a single major institutional licensing deal that could be structured as a multi-million-dollar annual fee, completely independent of the token's trading volume.
That's the key analytical difference. The B2C subscription model is vital for product validation. It proves the model works and that retail users will pay for it. But the B2B licensing model is the path to generational wealth for the company. If they license the AI, they transform from a successful crypto product into a high-value, defensible AI technology firm.
So is the B2C model primarily just a mechanism to generate validation data and proof points for what is a much more lucrative B2B licensing pitch?
I believe that is the strategic intent. The retail product acts as this publicly available, quantified, and transparent demonstration of the model's superiority. If they can show partners like Bovada or Cloudbet that their B2C users are consistently profitable,
then the institutional licensing conversation gets much easier.
And much more expensive for the licensee, yeah.
Okay, so let's check their public footprint. What's the community presence look like, especially in terms of their transparency? Let's start with X, formerly Twitter.
The data shows an active presence on X with over 4,500 followers. But what's really important is the quality of the communication. The posts aren't just empty hype, they're substantive updates.
Yeah, we've seen specific examples of high-quality, data-driven content, feature launches, partnership announcements, and even technical AMAs.
That August 2025 AMA with the Eagle AI Labs CEO is a perfect example of the kind of transparency and technical depth you want to see. They didn't just talk about potential. They dove into the specific engineering challenges.
What were some of the specifics of that discussion? What technical hurdles did they actually admit to tackling?
They talked about the challenge of data overfitting, which is when an AI model gets too tailored to historical data and then fails with new live events. They detailed their methods for neural network refinement across all the different sports data sets.
And what else?
Critically, they were transparent about the inherent data access challenges they face. Specifically, that publicly available stats often don't contain the subtle signals you need for that last degree of accuracy. This shows they're focused on engineering solutions to real-world problems, which is a huge indicator of maturity.
And finally, their Telegram community. It's smaller, around 280 members, but it's noted as a vital testing ground where predictions are regularly shared and discussed.
It shows a functioning feedback loop, a direct channel for users to validate the model's daily output. So the key takeaway here is that their business model is really aiming for longevity. It's driven by genuine, diversified revenue streams that directly fund a rigorous, high-quality community incentive structure.
So we've established a high degree of technological and structural credibility. Now we have to ask the ultimate question. What are the realistic chances of success for Stacey Sport?
And this requires balancing their impressive positive indicators against the very real headwinds of the sports betting market.
Let's start with the hard numbers. The most powerful validation they have is their accuracy reporting. It's specific, it's measurable, and it's quantified publicly.
Right. The sources reported a very specific result for their September 2025 performance. They claimed a remarkable 76.5% accuracy rate. That was 13 winning picks and only 4 misses during that period.
Now, that number needs some serious context.
It really does. For any professional bettor, the goal is just to win 52.4% of the time. That's the break-even point you need to overcome the sportsbook's VIG, which is usually around 10%. Public bettors typically hover well below 55%.
So a sustained, verifiable 76.5% accuracy rate. That represents a massive, persistent, and verifiable market inefficiency. If this claim holds, they basically have the holy grail of predictive analytics.
It's a colossal edge. And they reported even higher specialization on top of that, over 80% accuracy on their baseball high-confidence picks. These are the quantified results the market actually cares about, not just theoretical potential.
And that level of performance is what leads to institutional confidence.
Exactly. It's likely why, in October 2025, they were able to announce a major VC investment and a listing on the Blofin trading platform. VC money signals that traditional financial structures have independently validated the business case based on these results. It moves the project beyond pure crypto speculation.
And their operational strategy leverages those sportsbook integrations we talked about. The partnerships with Cloudbet and Bovada are crucial because they significantly reduce their distribution risk.
By embedding their NeuralBet capabilities or just linking closely to those established platforms, they solve the final mile problem. They're leveraging existing betting infrastructure, making the path from prediction to profit instantaneous for the user.
Okay, now for the cold reality check. Despite these incredible indicators, the sports world is constantly adapting. What are the major challenges and risk factors, the headwinds they're facing in sustaining this success?
The primary challenge is prediction accuracy sustainability. While 76.5% is spectacular, maintaining that, let alone improving it as they scale across every major sport, is exceptionally difficult.
The market adapts.
The sports betting market is not static. It constantly adjusts. As Stacey Sport gains a larger following and their predictions actually start to influence betting lines, the efficiency of the market increases. So their AI is in this perpetual arms race against the sportsbook's own internal modeling teams.
Then there's the unavoidable political and legal friction, regulatory uncertainty. Sports betting regulations vary drastically by state and by country.
And layering in cryptocurrency and blockchain elements just adds significant legal complexity, especially when you're handling financial transactions with bet mirroring. They have to scale internationally within all these diverse regulatory frameworks, which is a complex and expensive operational challenge.
And they face serious entrenched competition beyond just the sportsbooks themselves.
Absolutely. Market competition is fierce. They're competing against legacy betting analytics services, established traditional handicappers with loyal followings, and the enormous capital and data resources of firms like FanDuel and DraftKings, who are developing their own sophisticated internal models.
So Stacey Sport needs to prove that their 30-year financial AI heritage truly provides a persistent, superior edge against these powerful entities. Flawless execution is mandatory.
And one of the most telling admissions came during that technical AMA regarding data access limitations.
This is a practical, technical constraint of any predictive model in sports.
Right. The Eagle AI Lab CEO acknowledged that crucial external factors like a last-minute practice absence, personal player circumstances, specific injury info that influences performance but isn't public yet, are not always available in standard data feeds. This ultimately constrains the model's accuracy. It creates an inherent ceiling on how good the predictions can be.
But the team is trying to address this with a significant innovation push, developing social media signal scraping.
And this is where their strategy gets really fascinating. They're using advanced data scraping to gather these non-public, potentially predictive signals from social media about players, injuries, travel delays, even team morale.
That sounds like a massive technical challenge.
Yeah.
Distinguishing real signal from pure social media noise.
It's a huge challenge, but if they're successful, it could provide the incremental data edge they need to sustain that 76% plus accuracy rate.
And finally, the ambitious nature of that 2025 roadmap brings significant execution risk.
For sure. Managing multiple complex sportsbook integrations, scaling across diverse sports data sets, and entering international markets all at the same time is operationally demanding. Missing key milestones would severely undermine community and institutional confidence. Their success really relies on sustained performance and hitting critical mass adoption.
If that adoption stays limited to just small crypto-native communities, the project could just plateau, regardless of how good the tech is.
They have to break into the traditional betting ecosystem.
Okay, let's pull all this analysis together for a realistic assessment. Let's look at the medium and the long term.
In the medium term, let's say 12 to 24 months, if that 76% plus accuracy holds steady, Stacey Sport has very strong potential to become a meaningful niche player. The combination of the proven AI, the institutional infrastructure, and direct monetization through the sportsbooks gives them genuine competitive advantages.
And reaching 5,000 to 10,000 active dashboard subscribers, that seems realistic if their accuracy stays best in class and they execute on the 2026 roadmap items, like expanding NeuralBet.
I think so. The long-term vision, however, becoming the undisputed leader in sports analytics that faces those meaningful competition and scaling headwinds we talked about. True, transformative success really hinges on two major non-negotiable pillars. Sustaining and scaling prediction accuracy. They have to maintain a best-in-class advantage as the market gets more efficient.
And pillar two.
Successfully implementing and growing their institutional B2B licensing. Licensing the model itself to major sportsbooks is the only path to the massive sustainable revenue required to justify those high valuations.
Finally, let's just touch on the token-specific considerations, particularly for investors interested in that high appreciation potential you see floating around.
Right. The project launched at a relatively modest market cap between $2.25 and $2.68 million with low initial trading volumes. The utility of the SciSport token is clear, and it's real. It grants dashboard access and participation in rewards.
But the path to those high appreciation goals, the 50 to 100x gain potential, that requires tremendous scaling. It means moving the market cap into the $50 million to $100 million plus range.
And that level of appreciation fundamentally requires one of two scenarios to play out. Either A, massive mainstream dashboard adoption, attracting tens of thousands of users from outside the crypto sphere, or B, successfully securing those institutional licensing deals, which generate massive, predictable revenue streams that fundamentally justify higher valuations regardless of what the retail trading volume is. The current market cap provides massive room for appreciation, but the engine driving that growth has to be sustained, independently verifiable performance and execution on that B2B strategy, not just hype.
So what does this all mean for someone watching this space?
I think Stacey Sport represents one of the more credible and analytically serious AI plus crypto ventures we've covered. Their strength isn't just in potential, but in the combination of a 30-year proven technology foundation, securing that institutional-grade infrastructure, a structured roadmap, and quantified results like that 76.5% accuracy claim.
So the sentiment should be positive, but measured. Focus strictly on performance and execution against that roadmap. The two key pillars for their long-term success are absolutely clear. First, they have to maintain that best-in-class prediction accuracy, especially as they scale across more chaotic sports. Second, they must successfully scale those critical sportsbook integrations and, most importantly, secure and grow those multi-million-dollar institutional B2B licensing deals.
That is the move that turns them from a successful crypto product into a bona fide technology company.
This entire case study really highlights the growing convergence of data science and decentralized markets. We've spent time discussing how the team is developing social media signal scraping to overcome data access limitations, things like last-minute player injuries, private circumstances, data that the public market doesn't typically possess. Which raises an important question for you, the listener, to mull over. In a world where predictive AI models are using increasingly personal and opaque data sources like scraped social media signals to forecast human events and market outcomes, how does the definition of publicly available information need to evolve to maintain transparency, fairness, and efficiency in global markets like sports betting?
The boundary between private signal and public information is blurring rapidly, and its definition will determine who holds the advantage in the next generation of predictive markets.
That's going to wrap up this deep dive into Stacey Sport. We hope this comprehensive breakdown provides you with the insight needed to navigate this complex intersection of AI, crypto, and professional sports. Thanks for diving deep with us.